All right, picking up where we left off yesterday, rather abruptly. I'm going to go back just a paragraph. How? Luke asked. How did she die? He was thinking if the car had wrecked, it wouldn't be so bad. Or maybe it had nothing to do with the rally. Maybe she was just got really sick. They shot her, Jen's father said. They shot all of them, all 40 kids at the rally, gunned down right in front of the president's house. The blood flowed into the rose bushes, and they had the sidewalks scrubbed before the tourists came so nobody would know. Luke started shaking his head. No. He couldn't stop. But Jen said there'd be too many people to shoot. She said there'd be thousands, Luke protested, as if Jen's words could change what he was hearing. Our Jen had too much faith in the bravery of her fellow hidden, Jen's father said. Luke flinched. I told her I couldn't go, he said. I told her, it's not my fault. No, Jen's dad said quietly, and you couldn't have stopped her. It's not your fault. There are plenty of other people who deserve blame. They probably would have shot 1,000 or 15,000. They don't care. His face twisted. Luke thought he had never seen such pain, not even the time Matthew dropped a sledgehammer on his foot. Tears began to spill down Jen's father's face. What I don't understand is, why did she do this children's crusade? She wasn't stupid. We'd been warning her about the population police all of her life. Did she really think the rally would work? He said. Yes, Luke assured him. Then, unbidden, the last words she'd spoken to him came back to him. We can hope. After she'd told him hope was worthless, maybe she knew the rally would fail. Maybe she even knew she would probably die. He remembered the first day he'd met her, when she'd cut her hand to cover the drops of his blood on the carpet. There was something strange in Jen he couldn't quite understand. That made her willing to sacrifice herself to help others, or to try to. I think at first she thought that the rally would work, Luke told Jen's dad, and then, even when she wasn't sure, she still had to go. She couldn't call it off. Why? Jen's dad asked. He was sobbing. Did she want to die? No, Luke said. She wanted to live, not die, not hide. Live. The words played over and over again in his brain. Not hide, live. Not hide, live. As long as he held on to them, he felt like Jen was there. She just left the room for a minute to go get more potato chips, maybe, and soon she'd be back to lecture him again about how they both deserved a better life than hiding. He could believe it was her voice, echoing in his ears. But if he let go, let the words stop for a minute, he was lost. He felt like the whole world was spinning away from him, and he was all alone. He wanted to cry out, Jen, come back, as if she could hear him and stop the spinning and come to get him. As if from a great distance, Luke heard Jen's father heave a sigh and blow his nose in a businesslike way. You may not be ready to hear this, he said, but... Dizzily, Luke raised his head and listened half-heartedly. When you logged into that chat room, Jen's father said, a buzzer went off in a room in population police headquarters. They're monitoring the chat room very closely. They found it after the rally. I've managed to cover up things about Jen, but they'll trace your message back to our computer. The population police are backlogged right now, following leads from the rally, so I should have a day or two to come up with a plausible-sounding explanation. But if they investigate too carefully, you may be in danger. More than usual? Luke said sarcastically. Jen's dad took the question seriously. Yes, they will begin actively looking for you. They'll search every house around this one. It wouldn't take them long to find you. A chill ran down Luke's spine. So he would die, just like Jen. Or not like her. She'd gone bravely. He would be caught like a mouse in its hole. But if you'll let me, Jen's dad continued, I can get you a fake ID. You can be miles away before they come looking. You would do that for me? Luke asked. Why? Because of Jen. But how? I have connections. You see, Jen's dad hesitated. I work for the population police. Chapter 28. Luke began screaming and couldn't stop. Suddenly, his brain didn't seem to have any controls whatsoever over what his body did. He felt his legs spring up and propel him towards Jen's dad. He saw his own hands grab for the gun and wrestle it away. He heard a voice he barely recognized as his own screaming again and again, "No! No! No! Stop!" Jen's dad yelled, "Stop, you little fool, before you get us both killed." Somehow, the gun was in Luke's hands. Jen's dad lunged at him, and Luke could picture Jen's dad tackling him, just as Jen had tackled him all those months ago. But this time, Luke steps aside at the last moment, and Jen's dad crashed uselessly into the far wall. Luke pointed the gun at him and struggled to hold it steady. Jen's dad turned around slowly. "You can shoot me," he said, holding his hands helplessly up in the air. "I might even welcome the chance to stop missing Jen. But it would be a mistake. I swear to you, in the name of everything that's sacred, in Jen's name, I'm on your side." Jen's dad stared into Luke's eyes, waiting. Luke felt a surge of pride that he'd gotten the upper hand, but he had earned the right to decide what happened next. But how could he know what was right? Surely Jen's own father wouldn't lie in her name, would he? Jen squeezed his eyes shut. Luke squeezed his eyes shut. Then he lowered the gun to his side. "Good," Jen's dad said, audibly releasing a breath. Luke let Jen's dad walk towards him, gently take the gun, and lay it on the desk. "I was going to explain," Jen's dad said, panting a little. He sat down. "I only work at Population Police headquarters. I don't agree with what they do. I try to sabotage them as much as I can. Jen never understood either. Sometimes you have to work from inside the enemy lines." Jen's dad talked and talked and talked. Luke thought he was repeating everything he said 2 or 3 times, but that was okay, because Luke's brain was functioning so slowly he needed the extra help. Do you know much history?" Jen's dad asked. Luke tried to remember if there were any history books among his family's collection in the attic. Did adventure stories of long ago count? He cleared his throat, "just from the books Jen loaned me." "Which ones?" Luke pointed to the ones on the shelves above the computer. "She gave me some article printouts from that computer." Jen's dad nodded. "So you got the propaganda from both sides," he said. "No truth." "What do you mean?" Luke asked. "The government publications are trying to convince people of one thing, so they stretch the facts, and the underground is just an extreme in its own way, making statistics match their cause. So, you know nothing." "Jen said the stuff from the computer was true," Luke said defensively. Just saying her name made him wince, and now she was dead. How could she be dead? Jen's dad waved that away impatiently. "She believed what she wanted to, but I'm afraid—" He stopped, and Luke was afraid Jen's dad might start crying again. Then he swallowed hard and went on. "I'm afraid I encouraged her. I passed along some slanted information. I wanted to give her hope that someday the population law would be repealed. I didn't know she'd... Luke knew he wouldn't be able to bear seeing Jen's dad break down again. "So what should I know?" Luke asked. "What is the truth?" "The truth?" Jen's dad muttered, catching on to those 2 words as though Luke had thrown him a lifeline. He recovered himself quickly. "Nobody really knows. There's been too many lies for too long. Our government is totalitarian, and totalitarian governments never like the truth." That made no sense to Luke, but he let Jen's dad go on talking. "You know about the famines?" Luke nodded. "Before that, our country believed in freedom and democracy and equality for all. Then the famines came, and the government was overthrown. There were riots in every city, over food, and many, many people were killed. When General Sherwood came to power, he promised law and order and food for all. By then, that was all the people wanted, and all they got." Luke squinted, trying to understand. This was grown-up talk, pure and simple. No, it was worse than grown-up talk he was used to, because all his parents ever talked about was the corn harvest and bills and the likelihood of frost at the end of May. And then, those Luke understood. Governments being overthrown, city rioting, they were beyond his comprehension. "Barron's got more," he blurted, and then blushed because it sounded so rude. Jen's dad laughed. "True, you noticed. I know it's not fair, and I'm not proud of it, but government officials made a conscious decision to allow one class of people to have special privileges. Jen probably introduced you to junk food, didn't she?" Luke nodded. "That's a good example. Officially, it's illegal, but no one ever got arrested for supplying barons with junk food, which is mighty convenient considering that all the powerful government officials are barons." The cynicism in his voice sounded so much like Jen that Luke almost gave in to grief again, but he forced himself to focus on what Jen's dad was saying. The government justifies keeping everyone else in the poverty because people seem to work the hardest when they're right on the edge of survival, he continued. The government does try to make sure that most people, the ones who cooperate, do survive. If you've heard your parents talking about other farmers, you'll know that nobody loses their farm anymore, but also nobody ever makes enough to live comfortably. Luke thought about his parents' constant worries about money. Was it all unnecessary? Were they just being manipulated? He felt a spark of anger, but buried that too because he had other questions. But even barons have to follow the population law, he said. Is that because, he gulped, because it's necessary? Were there too many people? Are there? Probably not, Jen's dad said. If food had been distributed fairly, if people hadn't panicked, if we'd had good leaders being honest about the need for everyone's cooperation, we could have survived the crisis without curtailing anyone's rights. And now, it shouldn't be a problem if some people choose to have 3 or 4 kids, as long as some other people choose to have none. But the population law became General Sherwood's proudest accomplishment. That's why even barons aren't exempt. He points to that and says, "See how much control I have over my people's lives?" "So it is wrong," Luke said, trying to grasp the point. "I believe so, yes," Jen's dad said. Luke felt a strange sense of relief that it wasn't truly wrong for him to exist, just illegal. And for the first time since he'd read the government books, he could see the two things being separate. Maybe that was why he'd been too scared to go to the rally. If he truly believed the way Jen had, then he might have gone. And would he have been killed as she was? It was all too confusing and scary to think about. Jen's father looked at his watch. "I need to get back to work. I can only hide so much. If you want, I can have the fake ID for you by tomorrow night. In the meantime, I'd advise you..." He broke off. Luke knew why. A sound from his worst nightmare, pounding on the door, and then the command, "Open up. Population police." We'll have to see what happens tomorrow. Have a good day, guys. Look for an update for our status of the class. I miss you guys. Have a wonderful day.